I am Micah S. Caperlac, BS Cream 1 Charlie, and I am going to discuss what is biodiversity. Biodiversity. Bio means life, diversity means variety. Biodiversity we see today is the billion of year evolution shaped by natural process and increasingly by the influence of humans. It forms the web of life of which we are integral part and in which we fully depend. This diversity often understood in terms of the variety of plants, animals, and microorganisms. So far, about 1.75 million species have been identified and mostly small creatures such as insects. Scientists recalling that there are actual about 13 million species, though estimates range from 3 to 100 million. Diversity includes genetic differences with each species. Example: between varieties of crops and breeds of livestock, chromosomes, genes, and DNA, the building blocks of life determine the uniqueness of each individual in each species. It is the combination of life forms and their interaction with each other and with the rest of the environment that has made Earth a uniquely habitable place for humans. Biodiversity conservation means protection, conservation, and management of the biodiversity in order to obtain sustainable benefits for future generations. We have three types of biodiversity. Just remember the acronyms EGGS. E stands ecosystem diversity, G stands genetic diversity, and S stands species diversity. First, let's talk about ecosystem diversity. Ecosystem diversity deals with the variation in ecosystem within a geographical location and its overall impact on human existence. And the environment, ecological diversity is a type of biodiversity. It is the variation in the ecosystem found in a region of variation in ecosystem over the whole planet. Ecological diversity includes the variation in both terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems. Ecological diversity can also take into account the variation in the complexity of a biological community, including a number of different niches, the number of trophic levels, and other ecological processes. An example of ecological diversity on a global scale will be the variation in ecosystem, such as deserts, forests, grasslands, wetlands, and oceans. Ecological diversity is the largest scale of biodiversity, and within each ecosystem, there is a great deal of both species and genetic diversity. Next, species diversity. Species diversity is defined as the number of species and abundance of each species that live in a particular location. The number of species that live in a certain location is called species richness. If you were to measure the species sweetness of a forest, you might find a 20 bird species, 50 plant species, and 10 mammal species. Abundance is the number of individuals of each species. For example, there might be 50 monkeys that live in a forest. You can talk about species diversity on a small scale, like a forest, or a large scale, like the total diversity of species living on Earth. And lastly, genetic diversity. Genetic diversity refers to the diversity within a species, each individual species possesses genes which are source of its own unique features. Human beings. For example, the huge variety of people's face reflects on each person's genetic individuality. The term genetic diversity also covers distinct populations of a single species such as the thousands of breeds of different dogs. The conservation of biodiversity is the protection and management of biodiversity for the purpose of obtaining resources for sustainable development, just like the part of Philippine National Police. Their mission is to maintain peace, protect, and serve our country. By protecting members of the public and their property, preventing crime, reducing the fear of crime, and improving the quality of life for all citizens. The police serve to maintain law and order in local areas.